I still remember the exact moment everything inside my life cracked. It was a Tuesday evening. Nothing special. The kind of ordinary night you forget the moment it passes. The sky outside our kitchen window was turning orange, the smell of garlic and butter filled the house, and my husband Daniel was late again. Daniel had been late a lot lately. At first, I told myself it was work. Promotions come with pressure. Deadlines. Clients. Late meetings. That's what good wives tell themselves. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Not yet suspicious, just wrong. Like a quiet noise behind a wall. Something you can't see. But you know it's there. When Daniel finally walked through the door that night, he didn't kiss me like he usually did. He didn't ask about my day. He barely even looked at me. Instead, he walked straight past me and said quietly, "I'm going to shower." Then he disappeared upstairs. I stood there in the kitchen holding a wooden spoon, staring at the empty doorway. Something had changed. And I didn't know it yet, but my life was about to split into two versions. The life before I knew the truth. And the life after. Daniel and I had been married for 8 years. We met in college, back when everything felt simple. He was studying architecture. I was studying literature. We bonded over late-night coffee and cheap pizza while complaining about professors we hated. Daniel was the calm one. Quiet. Thoughtful. The kind of man who listened more than he spoke. I loved that about him. In a world full of loud people, Daniel felt safe. Steady. Reliable. For years, our marriage was the kind people envied. No dramatic fights. No secrets. Just two people building a life together. Or at least, that's what I believed. The strange behavior started about 4 months ago. At first, it was small things. Daniel began keeping his phone face down on the table. He used to leave it anywhere. Couch. Counter. Bathroom sink. Now it was always in his pocket. Always. If a message notification appeared, he would quickly swipe it away. If I walked into the room while he was texting, the screen went dark. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was imagining things. But then the late nights started. Then the weekend work meetings. Then the distance. Daniel stopped laughing at my jokes. Stopped asking about my day. Stopped touching me. It felt like living with a stranger wearing my husband's face. And the worst part? He never explained anything. One night, around midnight, I woke up and noticed Daniel wasn't in bed. At first I thought he was in the bathroom. But the hallway light was off. I got up and quietly walked downstairs. That's when I saw him. He was sitting at the kitchen table in the dark. Just staring at his phone. The light from the screen illuminated his face, and for a moment, he looked terrified. Not guilty. Terrified. "Daniel?" I said softly. He jumped like I had scared him half to death. "Oh, hey," he said quickly. I couldn't sleep. "What are you doing?" "Just checking work emails." "At midnight?" Something about his voice sounded forced. But I was too tired to argue. So I simply nodded. "Come back to bed," I said. He hesitated. Then he locked his phone and followed me upstairs. But I noticed something that night. When he thought I was asleep, he stayed awake for hours. The first real crack appeared 3 weeks later. It was a Saturday morning. Daniel had gone out early for one of his meetings. I decided to clean the house while he was gone. Laundry. Vacuuming. The usual. When I was emptying the trash in his office, I noticed a crumpled receipt on the floor. It wasn't from anywhere near our neighborhood. It was from a small cafe across town. The date was from the previous night. But Daniel had told me he was working late. I stared at the receipt for a long time. A simple piece of paper shouldn't have meant anything. But somehow, it did. Because the cafe had closed at 7 p.m. And Daniel hadn't come home until nearly midnight. I felt the first real wave of cold fear crawl up my spine. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I started watching. Quietly. Carefully. I noticed patterns. Daniel left the house every Thursday night. Always around 7. Always came back around 11. He never told me where he was going. When I asked, he gave vague answers. Just work stuff. Meeting a client. Late project review. But his eyes never met mine when he said it. That was the first time the word affair entered my mind. And once that thought appears, it never really leaves. I hated myself for what I did next. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. Especially when your heart is already afraid. One night, while Daniel was showering, his phone buzzed on the bed. Just once. My heart started pounding immediately. I told myself not to look. But my hands moved anyway. The notification preview was short. Just 3 words. Are you coming tonight? No name. Just a number. My stomach dropped. My hand started shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Daniel was still in the shower. I could hear the water running. I had seconds. Maybe less. I opened the message thread. What I saw made my chest tighten. There were dozens of messages. All from the same number. Most of them were short. Simple. But strange. Did you tell her yet? She deserves to know. You can't keep hiding forever. My heart was racing. Tell me what? What was Daniel hiding? And why did someone think I deserved to know? Then I saw the message that made my blood run cold. Thursday again? Daniel's reply underneath. Yeah. Just one word. Yeah. Thursday. The same night he disappeared every week. The bathroom door opened. I dropped the phone instantly and pretended to scroll on my own. Daniel walked out with a towel around his neck. For a second, he studied my face. Like he was searching for something. Everything okay? He asked. I forced a smile. Yeah. Just tired. He nodded slowly. But something in his eyes told me he didn't believe me. That night I barely slept. My mind was spinning with possibilities. An affair. A secret life. Another woman. But those messages didn't sound romantic. They sounded serious. Almost urgent. You can't keep hiding forever. Those words echoed in my mind over and over. What was he hiding? And why did someone else think I deserved to know? The next Thursday, I followed him. I told myself I wouldn't. But when he grabbed his keys and said he'd be home late, something inside me snapped. I waited 5 minutes after he left. Then I grabbed my coat and got in my car. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the keys. Daniel's car was easy to follow. He didn't drive across town to some apartment. He didn't go to a hotel. He didn't meet another woman. Instead, he drove to a hospital. I parked across the street and stared at the building in confusion. Why was Daniel here? He got out of the car and walked quickly inside. No hesitation. Like he had been here many times before. I sat there for nearly 10 minutes, trying to make sense of it. Then I forced myself to get out of the car. Hospitals at night feel different. Quieter. Colder. The fluorescent lights hum softly. The air smells like disinfectant and something else you can't quite name. I walked slowly toward the reception desk. "Can I help you?" the nurse asked. "I'm looking for my husband," I said. She smiled politely. "Name?" "Daniel Carter." She typed something into her computer. Then her expression changed slightly. "Oh, are you family?" My stomach twisted. "Yes." She hesitated. Then pointed down the hallway. "Room 214. I thanked her and walked slowly down the hall. Each step felt heavier than the last. My heart was pounding so loudly I was sure people could hear it. Room 214. The door was slightly open. Voices inside. One male. One female. I recognized Daniel's voice immediately. But I didn't recognize the woman's. I moved closer. Then I looked inside. And everything in my world shattered. Daniel was sitting beside a hospital bed, holding the hand of a little girl. She looked about 6 years old. Pale. Weak. A small oxygen tube rested beneath her nose. And beside the bed sat a dark-haired woman with red, swollen eyes. She looked exhausted. Like she hadn't slept in days. Daniel leaned forward and gently brushed the girl's hair away from her face. "It's okay," he whispered softly. "I'm here." The little girl looked up at him and smiled weakly. "Hi, Daddy." My heart stopped. Daddy. The word echoed through my skull like a gunshot. I stumbled backward in shock. My breath caught in my throat. Daniel had a daughter. A child. A child I had never known about. For 6 years. My husband had been living a secret life. And I had never seen it. But the worst part? I wasn't supposed to find out like this. Because the moment Daniel turned toward the door and saw me standing there, his face went completely white. Like a man whose worst nightmare had just come true. And in that moment, I realized something horrifying. The secret I had discovered was far worse than I ever imagined.